5. Sigh. Starting over. It takes a lot of courage to start over by getting to know others, and most important, it takes even more to start over by getting to know yourself. Sounds tough, but it's not impossible. It's time to change your perspective. Even though your relationship has ended, you are not really losing anything. In fact, you are regaining your sense of self. You get to take a new approach to enjoying the world. You have the opportunity to love in a different way. You can bring forward a new you, an upgraded you. It's time to start over. Freedom through forgiveness. The best way to start over is to gain inner peace, and that starts with forgiveness. Yep, the big F word. Whatever happened in the past, whatever your ex or exes has done or not done, you need to be able to let it all go by forgiving. I know you're probably thinking, here is another person telling me to forgive when I'm not ready to do so. I understand. But let me tell you, your healing actually requires you to forgive. It requires you to say to yourself and to God that you are choosing to let go of the pain. You are choosing to take this weight of anger, hurt, disgust, and pain and release it forever. You are the only one suffering. Anything that hurts or angers you is offending your spirit, and that is what is causing the unbearable pain. It is not in your spirit's nature to feel angry or upset, so to be in that state for too long is a disease of the spirit and the mind. The cure is forgiveness. Forgiveness frees you. Forgiveness allows you to love again, and only through forgiveness can you truly understand your self-worth. When you forgive, you are saying that you are too valuable to be living in a state of chaos and torment. You realize you are a child of God with the ability to free yourself at any time. You are choosing to be free in His Spirit rather than be bound by hate. Forgiveness, however, is a process, like anything else. If you are in a place where 1 minute you feel like you have released all your cares and the next minute you are angry, then you need to practice forgiveness daily until you have actually forgiven. To forgive daily, you need to let go of whatever is weighing you down about the person. Accept it as it is and decide that you'd rather wish him well each and every single day. Forgive yourself by accepting that every day is a new day to get it right. Forgive yourself by knowing what was a mistake in the past doesn't have to be a mistake in the future. Forgive yourself by taking ownership of your mistakes and realizing they are part of growing into a better you. You need to give the hurt to God and ask Him to transform it into peace. Letting go of old wounds and baggage. The reality of starting over is that you have to be able to let go of old wounds and baggage. It's time to release the wounds that you never let heal, as well as the issues you picked up along the way that you have never dealt with and that no longer serve you. Let them all go. They are a disservice to you. You have to be willing to acknowledge these issues and to admit to yourself that you have been carrying them around with you for too long. Whether they are surface-level issues or deep down within you, it's time to deal with them. Whether they're communication issues, trust issues, self-image issues, it's time to face what you've hidden in the far dark corner. You are cleaning house from within, so now is the time to clean under the rugs. You are at a perfect place to do so. This step may not feel good initially, but it does allow you to release what you no longer control and to close the chapters where bookmarks should never have been placed in the first place. You are taking care of you. You are addressing the issues you have been avoiding. You are finally laying to rest all those questions that may or may not get answers, but either way you are okay with it. You are owning your scars. You have the ability to truly regain your whole self. You are allowing all those old wounds to heal in the proper way. You are allowing your emotional baggage to propel you forward instead of letting it weigh you down. No longer can the things that once seemed so hurtful be used against you, since you see the blessing in them and can move forward in healing and love. A different set of standards, stating the non-negotiables. Examining what's within will help you understand what attracts you to certain people and situations. What was it about a certain person that drew you in rather than told you to stay away? How were you feeling at that time in your life that led you to so easily open up to unwanted situations? Sometimes when we're feeling vulnerable and are not in the right place of healing, we too readily open up and allow certain people into our lives. It's easy enough to do, but quite frankly, it's the most effective way to harm your mind and spirit. Perhaps you met someone at a time when you felt that you had no control, that you were losing everything. This person made you smile, intrigued you, and took your mind off what was going on. Everything seemed good, but he was a smoker, and you don't smoke. He was once abusive in a relationship, but he says he has changed, and you had always promised yourself that you would never entertain someone who has no respect for women. However, you chose to overlook these things in the hopes that this time would be different. The temporary happiness you were feeling was better than the pain that feels too heavy to deal with. You do this not knowing that what you have invited into your life will turn out to be a problem for you in the long run, and maybe even a bigger one than what you're facing now. You are getting emotionally invested without even realizing it. This is what's known as the creep-in. Your guard is down, and everything that makes you feel good for a while creeps in, but then later causes some serious damage. It's time to raise your standards again, and to stand by them, regardless of how you are feeling. Standards are there to protect you. Think of it as quality control. The food you eat and the things you buy have to meet a set of standards before they can be sold to you, and then they have to meet your standards when you are deciding whether or not to buy them. Standards are there for you to ensure that a person qualifies as someone for you to communicate with, commit to, and open yourself up to. Your standards are the entryway that everyone has to pass through before they can make an impact on you and an emotional connection with you. Let me pause here to add that there is a big difference between standards and preferences. A preference is not necessarily a deal breaker and is usually framed in terms of someone's physical attributes, as in, I prefer blondes to redheads. So the question you have to ask yourself now, based on what you've learned, is where your standards lie. How have you put them in place to protect you? Here are some examples of standards for your love partner to meet. He is goal-oriented. He has a good reputation. He has healthy self-esteem. He sets high standards for himself. He is able to give constructive criticism. He doesn't see you as a burden. He is willing to do the work. Let's take a look at these one by one. He is goal-oriented. He is spiritually and mentally headed in a direction of improvement. He has a vision for himself and his future. He does not stop at or settle in his comfort zone. He is able to take heed of the direction that God told him to go, and he believes in what the Word says about him. Listen, if this man is willing to invest in himself, then more than likely, if he loves you, he will be willing to invest in you too. He has a good reputation. This may not seem important to many, but to those who value someone who takes pride in their name, it means everything. You want to avoid womanizers and heartbreakers. Yes, people can change, but not everybody does. And don't think he is going to change just because of who you are. People change because they want to change, not because you made them. A good reputation among friends, acquaintances, and family is an important factor to consider when choosing a mate. He has healthy self-esteem. Level of self-esteem can determine many of your partner's behaviors, good and bad. A way to see where his self-esteem lies is to notice how he talks about himself and how he treats himself and those around him. A healthy dose of self-esteem is reflected on you. He can make you feel like the most beautiful woman in the world, or be the one to tell you every minute how lucky you are to have him. A lack of self-esteem will manifest itself in insecurities, and it is up to you to figure out what you're willing to deal with. How he feels about himself will determine how he treats you and what role he, as a man, is able to play in your life. He sets high standards for himself. This may seem like it's the same as self-esteem, but it's not. Having high standards is an indication that he doesn't accept just anything. He is not desperate and wants quality in his life. This is his way of protecting himself. He has expectations because he wants to live a certain way, and if he wants you, then to him you are exceptional. He is able to give constructive criticism. You may be surprised to think of this as a must, but I promise you it is. You don't need a yes man. You need a yes and no person. You need someone who will help you go to the next level. Let's face it, not everything you do is perfect, and if he knows how to give you constructive criticism, then he gets 2 thumbs up. He must know how to speak to you in a way that you can hear. This goes both ways. Can you give him constructive criticism? How does he react when you do? Is the maturity there? He doesn't see you as a burden. If you ask him to do something, he shouldn't act martyred about it. He should not make you feel as if you or any part of your life is a burden to him. If you would like him to attend an event with you, he should make the effort without acting as if it is too much for him. There is nothing about you that he would not want to make a part of his life, because it is also a part of you. He is willing to do the work. Everything requires effort. Do you get upset about what he used to be like? What you get in the beginning might continue, but it can also change, and often it does. What matters is that both parties are willing to put in the necessary effort to sustain the relationship, even if one or both of you have changed over time. When you make the effort to communicate with and understand each other, you behave as 2 individuals committed to a common purpose. Being progressive requires being open-minded. Starting over requires you to have an open mind about what comes next. It's easy to be strict in your thinking about what you want and just stick to that. When I say you should have an open mind, I mean you should still have standards, but just be open to the package that your standards may come in. For example, thinking that you have one type and one type only prevents you from meeting other kinds of individuals and exploring new facets of this vast world God has put you in. Also, if everyone knows you have a type, how will that work for you when they introduce you to all the tall blonde musicians, but neglect to introduce you to the short brown-haired stockbroker, who would be perfect for you? Again, it's okay to have standards and preferences, but you need to be open-minded enough for those standards to appear to you in the most divine way possible. Your type may have worked for you 5 years ago, but that does not mean it will work for you today. Actually, let's hope it doesn't, since you have probably evolved since that time. Maybe right now you are wondering why we're talking about being open-minded when you're just trying to get yourself together. Being open-minded allows you to continue to be a student of life, rather than saying you no longer want to be a part of this aspect of life that God calls love. Being open-minded does not mean having your guard down. It means trying new things with discernment. It means exploring life and other elements of this world that you have yet to discover. When you are open to life's pleasures, you discover new parts of yourself and heighten your awareness of the beauty within and the beauty of everything that's around you. In turn, this radiant quality will attract the right people and situations to you. Overthinking ruins things. Now that you are starting fresh, you might find yourself overthinking the many things that can simply just be. Overthinking can stem from fears and burdens that you have yet to let go of. Instead of letting go, we carry them with us and dwell on possibilities that may never happen. You can dwell on them so much that you miss out on the present moment and prevent what God has put His hands on. Because of all the thoughts running through your head, life is no longer an organic experience for you, but a calculated process. Overthinking can cause anxiety and even depression. You are choosing to think your way through a situation instead of letting God take care of it. This unwanted disease of overthinking can cause you to be your own worst enemy rather than your own best friend. Learn to take the moment as it is. Learn to love yourself as you are. Learn that what is to be for you will always be for you, regardless of what happens. So do not chase it away with your overthinking. Overthinking is a form of self-sabotage. Your mind is trying to have control over the situation. You are not in a place of peace, but a place of anticipation for either better or worse to come. The truth is, you block whatever blessing could be happening right in front of you when you imagine the moment to be happening differently, as if what is happening right now is not perfect enough. Simply cease overthinking by allowing yourself to accept that what you see is what it is. What you feel is what it is. What is happening is what it is. You move forward by going forward. Do not let your fears and past disappointments put you in a state of overthinking what is happening now. You are starting over, so it's time to let go of whatever holds you back from accepting more and better for yourself. Just kicking it. While you are in this healing process, it is key to hang out with friends who are uplifting and amazing in their own right. These friends show you the beauty of who you are. They assist in your transition from heartbreak to healing. Your true friends will handle your heart with care and listen to you. Give yourself a healthy dose of exposure to those who want to see you in a better state. As I stated earlier, what you should not do is hang out and be friends with your ex. Unless 7 or more years have gone by and both of you have moved on, it is a giant no-no to be friends with your ex. If it was true love for you and him and your connection is unbreakable, then there is no room for friendship at this time. Telling yourself that you can be friends is denial, pure and simple. It's your way of trying to keep him in your life and vice versa. You are basically telling yourself that you cannot let go and, what's more, that you do not want to. Here's what happens when you try to be friends with your ex. It gives the person who wants to be friends the idea that there is a possibility of becoming more than friends again. Both of you end up living on memory lane and partaking in activities that you once stopped doing. It gives the one who did wrong an excuse to think that the offenses couldn't have been that bad, so no lesson learned. You need time to breathe, and in the process of starting over, you must spend time with yourself and your friends. When you are slipping and acting in ways that are inappropriate or unlike you, your true friends will tell you. They do not want to see you at your worst and will do what they can to cheer you up during this phase. Self-doubt. Get rid of it. One of the biggest obstacles to starting over is self-doubt. A section of your mind will try to tell you all the things you could have done to keep your relationship going. Your mind will whisper phrases like, "If only I had done that. Maybe I didn't do enough of that. And I know I was wrong for doing that." You may have all these thoughts about what you could have done to change things, but the truth is, it played out how it was supposed to play out. You may even have thoughts like, "Well, maybe I misinterpreted what was going on. Maybe I overreacted," or "I could have gotten over that." If it was supposed to work out, it would have worked out. This is an easy way to invite the wrong thoughts about yourself to take over your present and your future. When you doubt yourself, you are simply saying that you do not trust your decisions, that your instincts are wrong, and that you reacted irrationally. You have to know that by doubting yourself, you keep yourself stuck right where you are. You might even entertain the thoughts that maybe you shouldn't have broken up, if you were the one who ended it. Self-doubt will have you examine your past relationship over and over again, rather than examining why you are doubting yourself. When you doubt yourself, you become the defense team for the issues in your relationship, and you portray them as smaller than they really were. What lies in your self-doubt are your insecurities and lack of belief in your decisions and yourself. Whenever you doubt yourself, you are saying you are not good enough, and at this stage especially, you have to start believing that you are. The unveiling of emotions. No covering up. I have to tell him how I feel. The truth is, no, you don't. He probably has a good idea of how you feel if you expressed it while in the relationship. If you didn't, now is not the time to do so. You are probably asking yourself, well, why is this section called no covering up if you're saying I shouldn't tell him how I feel? What I mean here is not to cover it up from yourself and from God. Stop thinking that everything is fine with you when it's not. Do not bury your feelings with other activities such as work without ever addressing your issues. You first have to learn how to be there for yourself. You need to be your own best friend. If you have to cry for hours or mourn the loss of your relationship for a while, then do so. If you have to write down your feelings, then do that too. One of the many things I suggest you do, if you need to let it out and unburden yourself, is to record yourself talking to your ex about everything you feel, but of course not really communicating with him. Talk into the recorder, expressing everything, every emotion, without expecting an answer. It's your chance to talk without getting interrupted or being dismissed. If later you remember things you want to add, create a new recording. Let this be a one-day exercise. Do not revisit it. Once you have finished recording, examine how you feel and delete the recording. Let it go. Think about the last thing you need and want to say to that person and end it there. Now you can fully move on. If you are a writer and writing works best for you, then write it down, everything. Once you are done, burn the pages. Or if you did the writing on your computer, delete the file, for good. What you have written is now done and gone. Give everything up to God. You have to let it all go. Ignored emotions fester and become problems in future relationships, since they also affect your self-esteem. Right now is your time to let everything out. Anger, jealousy, hurt, confusion, disappointment, happiness, relief, and more. Let it all out to God. Let God know how you are feeling. Give God the opportunity to make you feel better by giving it all to Him. Be honest about how you feel and what you want to let go of. Taking the time to grieve. Grieving is a crucial part of starting over. You need time to mourn the loss of your relationship. Whether the relationship was great or awful, you need time to get used to being by yourself and doing things on your own. Give yourself the time you need to get used to the idea that he will no longer check in with you throughout the day, and that maybe your Friday nights will have to be spent alone. You may have to get used to sleeping alone and eating alone and just enjoying your own company. Grieving doesn't mean that everyone around you will be grieving too, and it also doesn't mean that grieving should take forever. Yet you still need time to readjust to doing things differently. Whether it was a breakup you wanted or one you didn't foresee, the smallest actions you take throughout the day may really stand out now. Maybe you are a coffee drinker, and your ex was the one who made your coffee every morning. Good morning texts no longer happen, and Jeopardy nights are over. Who is going to discuss politics with you? These are all adjustments that you'll have to make in getting settled into a new routine. Finding support. When you're starting over after a breakup, this is when you need your support system the most. Never underestimate the importance of your circle of friends, who are all there to lend an ear, give advice, and lead you toward a better path. Good friends know that starting over can be tough, but they are there to get you through it. You may not like it, but now it's through your friendships that you will be forced to get outside your comfort zone and face the world with a new pair of eyes. After all, God blessed you with friends with the ability to show you your full potential. With family, this can be a very tricky arena, especially if you have had someone say to you, "I told you he's not good for you," or "I saw this coming." No one wants to hear that. But in the end, family is there for you, regardless of any forewarnings they may have given you. But here's the twist. After a while, your support group will get tired of hearing all the details of your relationship or breakup over and over. They do not care about the why. Their main goal is to get you back on your feet, standing taller than before and feeling better. So while you may have their support, understand that your support group does not have all the answers and will need you to snap out of your funk eventually. You cannot and must not remain in this state forever. Dealing with X spots. X marks the spot. You know that certain table you and your ex always chose at your local Starbucks, or that pizzeria you went to every Friday night? If these spots are too painful for you to visit, then the simplest solution is to avoid them. It may be an inconvenience to you now, but once you're strong enough to break the emotional tie you have with certain places, you can revisit them, creating new memories. Right now, some spots will always be that spot, and taking the chance of running into your ex or people who know about you and your ex may not be worth it. If you're not ready to answer certain questions with a short and polite reply, then visiting those spots may not be what's best for you. Now that you are no longer in a relationship, it is time to do things differently. If you want to heal and prepare yourself for the best, what you used to do will no longer work. It's time to stop and distinguish between what you are doing because of him and what you are doing for you. 6. So what happens now? Where do you go from here? You deal with the pain. You start treating yourself well. You get enough sleep, you feed yourself even when you don't feel like eating, and you treat yourself to the things you may have felt deprived of in your relationship. You listen to some soothing music to get you through. These things sound simple enough, and you may think you're already doing them. But the truth is, the pain you are dealing with now is as much physical as it is emotional. In order to get better, you have to start caring for yourself and nourishing yourself with the love and attention that only you can give to yourself. If you hold yourself back from these simple but much-needed activities, you are only hindering the healing process. Take the time to get better. You do not have to jump into any activity too soon. In fact, doing things before you are ready can make you feel worse. Be gentle with yourself. It's time to stop feeling sorry for yourself and to get into rebuilding your thoughts on who you are and what you believe in. It's time to start building your self-esteem. Here are some daily practices that will help you. Meditating and praying. Take the time to speak to God about how you feel and what you want. Yes, He already knows, but if your relationship with Him was suffering while you were in the relationship, then you must understand He wants that relationship with you. Through meditation and prayer, you will recover faster and heal your self-esteem. Turning off your ego. All the I can'ts, I won'ts, and I'll nevers are talk from the ego. The ego finds ways to protect itself and create superficial boundaries that do not benefit you. Instead of serving you, these boundaries put you at risk of losing out on what you really want in your life. Your ego is not tied to your self-esteem. Your ego just builds walls to protect itself. Do not let your ego keep you from being a much more gratifying individual. If at any point you feel disappointed because of what you've allowed your ego to exclude you from, then realize that your ego is not working for you, but against you. Thinking about what a healthier and happier you looks and feels like. What makes you happy and keeps you happy? What does a healthier version of you do? Think of what you want to dwell on in your mind. You'll give your self-esteem a boost at the thought of how all that you want is attainable. You can be the person who has the love you want, the career you desire, and more. What you believe about yourself can either boost your self-esteem or damage it. No one can do this but you. Expressing gratitude. Giving thanks every day reminds you of how far you've come and the blessings that have been bestowed on you. It also increases feelings of self-worth. Think about your amazing qualities and accomplishments. Regardless of the mistakes you've made, what others believe about you, or what has been said about you in a negative light, know that you do have some pretty amazing qualities and have been blessed with some God-given skills and talents. Think about them. Live in those moments of accomplishment for a minute, and let them give you a self-esteem boost. Learning to value yourself. With your self-esteem a bit bruised, you will need to cultivate some self-compassion. This is the time to handle your heart gently and to be your own best friend. You need yourself now more than ever. You can't expect others to understand or even care about what you went through. People have different perceptions of their world and yours. Not everyone is going to feel sorry for you, and nor do you want them to. You need to feed yourself with an overwhelming amount of love and care. Every thought you have must be handled with care. How you treat yourself and talk to yourself is extremely crucial to your recovery. What you say about yourself is what you believe, and your actions will follow suit. The energy you once devoted to someone else now needs to be directed to you. In the process of repairing your feelings of self-worth, you will begin to gain insight into who exactly you have become and what you want. With each passing day, you will become wiser and stronger as you continue to tend to yourself. With every passing moment, you will grow your faith in God. It is during this time that you will gain inner integrity and a belief in your becoming. That tunnel that once seemed dark and endless will now start to reveal a bit of light as you make your way out and into your place of peace. Now it's time to come to peace with and forgive yourself for any mistakes you've made. Each mistake you made was not to set you back or break you, but to teach you and set you up for better things. In some sense, your mistakes serve as a wake-up call. It's not necessarily the mistakes you made that determine how you will fare post-breakup, but the way you handle your downfalls and create an opportunity to do better. Will you take advantage of this opportunity? One way we often fail to value ourselves is by holding on to a relationship, not because it is truly what we want or because we believe that person will make us happy, but because we think that person is good enough. You've gone through so much with this person and had such high hopes that, even when you know he is not the one, you may not want to accept that. Your connection to him was so strong, but not strong enough to keep the two of you in a healthy partnership, and you have come to embrace a dysfunctional relationship. But while it can be easy to hold on to something because of its potential and not because it makes you happy, at some point your spirit will choose to no longer reside in this place of dysfunction, and you will be left to deal with the reality of the situation. You've come so far. At this point in your journey, you understand that your feelings are your truth and no one else's. You are creating a new environment for yourself that welcomes change. This new environment applauds your ability to let go and rewards you with knowledge, strength, courage, and confidence. You are able to shift what your day will look like and who you will welcome or reject. In this space, you do valuable soul-searching and set parameters for yourself that ultimately create an inviting space for God to do His work within you. You have let go of your resistance. You have transformed yourself from a victim of hurt to an activist of peace within. You have now forgiven, but not forgotten the feelings of being wronged, rejected, judged, and treated unfairly. You've given up living in that space, since you realized that you were the only one who resided there, and you no longer want to be trapped. It's in the now that you will realize how far you've come, and maybe you are asking yourself, what should I do now? This question indicates that you want to move forward and overcome rather than wallow in what has happened. It's the past. You cannot go back to it because you live in the present. You realize that you have control in your right now. It's in your right now that you can make the most of how you feel about you. Your present gives you the opportunity to nurture the parts of yourself that need the most attention. It's right now that you address your core issues and recognize how your mind, body, and spirit react to them. To be in tune with yourself, you must be in your present. Your body is not speaking from your past, but is telling you what is hurting right now, what feels good right now, what needs attention right now, and where to go from here. Your past will never dictate how you should live in your right now without your consent. Letting down walls. If you are now feeling hopeful about a future relationship, it is because you have lowered your walls enough to allow friendship into your life. It is now possible for someone to approach you, since you are no longer guarded or closed off. As your self-perception keeps improving, so will your opportunities and chances to meet other people. You have released the emotions that were holding you back. Often we know we have our guard up, but don't know how to get it down. And sometimes we're not even aware how closed off we've become. Even when you think you're ready for the next chapter, you become drenched in thoughts about why nothing is happening for you. This can cause you to overthink or to place blame, rather than homing in on and identifying the problem so you can rectify it. You might find yourself thinking, well, maybe it's my weight, or is it because I have baggage? Or is it that I still live at home with my parents? Or could it be because I don't fit the accepted standards of beauty and don't come across as wifey material? These thoughts are powerful and dangerous because they can shape your emotions and actions. The truth is, when you become open, you learn to fully accept yourself. Once you've accepted and are grateful for who you are, opportunities and blessings start to pour in. You do not compare yourself to others or entertain what others think about you. If something does not agree with you spiritually and mentally, do not hesitate to get rid of it. You know where to seek counsel. You do not need to seek validation from friends and family for any decision you choose to make. With your new acceptance, you invite change into your life because you stand strong on who you are. One of the simplest ways to tell if you're open is that when you walk down the street, people smile at you or say hi. If that no longer happens, it's probably not because people are having a bad day. It's an indication of the energy you are transmitting to others. Another test of your openness is your attitude and your conversations. If you went from speaking of possibility and prosperity to being fearful and storing up things out of self-protection, that is a sign that your mindset is keeping you from inviting the positive into your life. Your attitude could be preventing new possibilities in love, robbing you of hope, and keeping you out of the miracle-prone zone. Being closed off means that you are still attached to something that is unwanted and uninvited. You have not let go, and it has grown more apparent to others by your behavior, by your indifference to yourself and others. If you know you have an off-putting demeanor, it's never too late to free yourself. You can do this by putting yourself out there when you know it's time. By putting yourself out there, I mean introducing yourself to what you were previously holding yourself back from. Whether you're interacting with certain people, going to events that require you to speak and look your best, or embracing a new way of living, you can overcome whatever thoughts and feelings that may be hindering your growth. It may feel uncomfortable and give you a bit of anxiety, but when you continually expose yourself to things that help you grow as an individual, you free yourself from your comfort zone and attract the right people and situations. By putting yourself out there, you come out of defense mode and start talking to people of all walks of life. Take the time to attend creative classes, such as cooking, painting, piano, pottery, and engage in other activities that expose you to people as well as cultivate your mind and attitude. No negativity zone. In your healing transition, you must create a no negativity zone. This is the zone in which you no longer entertain gossip, thoughts of defeat, people who always say, "I can't," and "I'm stuck," those who complain or are ungrateful, and so on. You have just moved out of one negative home, and you are not trying to move into another one just because it looks better. You are moving into a more spacious home in which your mind and spirit can roam in gratefulness, love, hope, joy, happiness, victory, and uplifting, empowering I can thoughts. You invite positive, make-it-happen people to this new home. Your no negativity zone is crucial to your transition, since it can be all too easy to fall back into a state of feeling stuck, hopeless, and depressed. Fill your newfound space with positive affirmations. Affirmations help transform your negative beliefs about yourself and your life into positive beliefs about you, the people in your life, and the inspiring actions you could take to propel yourself into a life of amazing accomplishments. Here are a few examples. I approve of myself. I am a gift to the world. I take pleasure in my solitude. I make the right choices every time. I trust myself. My actions create constant prosperity. I am a bright light to others. My life matters. I trust my intuition. Every situation works out for my highest good. Wonderful things happen to me every day. I forgive myself. My wisdom guides me in the right direction. I have the ability to make the best decisions for myself. I can receive all feedback with kindness. I love my family. My family is a gift. I am beautiful and smart. I choose to fully participate in my day. The work I do makes a positive difference in the lives of others. Practicing gratitude is another way to quickly transition from a negative emotional state to a welcoming, peaceful one. Gratitude alone can help you recognize all the love in your life. You appreciate your journey and accept love from yourself and others. Gratitude helps you release all self-expectations and to express appreciation for all that is in your life. The more you practice the art of gratitude, the more positive emotions you'll feel and the more alive you'll become. You will be much more able to express kindness and compassion. To reap the benefits of expressing gratitude, take the time to journal every day about what you are grateful for. By doing this, you are slowly changing the way you perceive and react to certain situations. Your focus becomes less aggressive. Gratitude gives you a chance to be excited about the changes you are making in your life right now. You begin to feel optimistic. A few examples of gratitude statements are, I am grateful for God's protection. I am grateful for my family. I am grateful that I have a source of income. I am grateful for the ability to forgive. I am grateful for the food in my fridge. I am grateful for my bills, which represent the fact that I can pay them. I am grateful for the hot water that helps me de-stress when I take a shower. I am grateful for the ability to wake up every day and make decisions on my own. I am grateful for my friends. I am grateful for being loved and forgiven by the Most High every day. It doesn't stop there. In the spirit of gratitude, you learn about yourself all over again. Give credit to yourself for what you have overcome and what you are working your way toward. During this time, you're able to put into words the love you have for yourself and your pride in your accomplishments. You can speak positively about yourself to others or keep a journal where you write about all the progress you are making. Loving yourself is not about being conceited or selfish or about seeing yourself as better than anyone else. But it is in the process of loving yourself that you are loving the creation of God and giving thanks. You are saying that the temple He created is enough, and you love the gift of life He presented you with. He thought of you and wanted you to become stronger in His image. Loving yourself means loving the God within you. It includes loving the strengths, talents, and abilities God has blessed you with. He loved you enough to give them to you, so you must learn to love yourself enough to fulfill your purpose and generate the kind of love God wants for you. One of the best ways to start creating a newfound love is by writing down all the attributes you love about yourself. Every day, write down 5 things you like about your physical self, your spiritual self, and your emotional self. Each day, build on these lists. Read them over and over again, and give thanks to God for your attributes. This is a great way to build a solid self-image, while not letting the opinions of others dictate your thoughts about yourself. Whenever someone speaks to you in a demeaning way, and you let them influence how you feel about yourself, you run the risk of letting a new negative self-belief take hold. So add to your list daily and ward off those negative thoughts. Here are a few examples. What I love about my physical attributes. 1. I love my eyes and how they shine when I smile. 2. I love my posture and how I command attention in a room. 3. I love the way my hair looks when I give it attention. 4. I love the way my skin glows in the sun. 5. I love the way my hips look in any dress I wear. What I love about my spiritual attributes. 1. I love my relationship with God. 2. I love my meditation time. 3. I love growing in the Word every day. 4. I love my conversations with God. 5. I love listening to my 2 favorite pastors who are supplements to the Word for me. What I love about my emotional attributes. 1. I love that I can allow myself to be vulnerable. 2. I love that I can still love even when I've been hurt. 3. I love knowing that I am blessed with compassion. 4. I love that I am passionate about the things I stand for. 5. I love knowing that in my pain I can still do what is best for me and my family. Seeing the future. Now that you've made these lists and are feeling firm in all the things you love about yourself, it's time for you to create a new plan for your life. Where do you see your love life in the next year, the next 5 years, and the next 10 years? What does a happy marriage look like for you? What does love look like to you? Whatever you think can become your reality. Whatever you ask of God with belief, He will answer. It's time for you to reevaluate what makes you happy in a relationship and what you believe would best serve you. You can now decide who you will accept into your life. What does your future love do that makes you happy? In what ways do you give love, and how well is it received? Use your imagination to create the love you desire, and think about it every day. All too often, those who are used to dysfunction continue to allow dysfunction into their relationships because they do not know what a healthy relationship looks like. The best way to get out of dysfunction is not only to face your personal issues, as we've discussed, but also to envision yourself in a healthy, loving relationship. If you have never witnessed a healthy relationship, ask God to reveal one to you. Watch how people in healthy relationships treat each other and take notes. While no relationship is perfect, this technique can help you envision what a happy relationship could look like. While this process is about having a healthy, happy relationship, it's also about being able to accept and reciprocate love. You may not be used to having someone pay for your dinners because you always dated someone who cried broke. So when a gentleman enters your life, willing to do just that thing, you must know how to respond as a woman expecting love. If you have never been with someone who paid attention to your interests, when your future partner does, how will you react? Again, your imagination can create your reality. It's not just about what you want to give, but also what you want to receive. Where do you want to be in your next relationship? From dating to marriage, what is it you believe you deserve? By now, you're used to hearing me talk about staying in the present moment. Everything is about what you think, feel, and do right now. You have already decided that you must move forward, but now you must decide that you want the best for yourself. And in order for that to happen, you must give yourself the best right now. You're probably asking how you can possibly give yourself the best when you do not have the money or you have no idea what the best would look like. Well, the best has nothing to do with money and everything to do with virtues that cannot be bought. The best refers to listening to yourself, giving yourself the kind of attention you would give to your closest loved one, praying continually, cooking the best meals for yourself, using your best silverware and china, and only taking in what feeds you physically, spiritually, and mentally. The best varies from the small details you tend to overlook, such as which plates you use, to the biggest things you can do right now, such as going back to school. It means putting yourself first and choosing to be around those people who challenge you to be your best, rather than those who do not believe in your growth. Right now, you know what is right for you. With whatever external changes you are making, be sure you are doing them for you. Whether you are looking to rearrange your house, buy a puppy, or study Chinese, do these things because you want to do them. You do not have to make external changes if you don't want to. I do encourage change, since it helps to usher in new beginnings and supports your new habits and viewpoints. But understand the timing of the change and what it should represent for you. If the internal changes are not made first, your external changes will not affect your way of making decisions and of building a healthy relationship with yourself, God, and your next partner. Take the time to grow and build yourself before making these other changes in your life. Some of the most effective changes you can make in your environment can be something as small as changing your wall color or as big as moving to another state or country. Here are a few examples of external changes that could help support your new direction. Moving, rearranging your home, changing your daily routine, changing your work area, hanging out or shopping in a different location, getting rid of gifts from a previous relationship. On your own, you venture out. While you were in a relationship, you were a team, a duo, whether or not that duo was functional. You had a safety net for making some of your decisions. Now you are back to functioning as a solo go-getter in your quest to love yourself and to attract love into your life. But now that you're free to venture out and try new things, you hesitate and think twice about some of your choices. This is your time to develop your decision-making skills when it comes to taking risks and understanding which decisions will advance you and your family. Knowing that you no longer have a safety net if you make a wrong decision should not limit you when it comes to partaking in activities, having truthful discussions, investing in yourself, and stepping out to do what you believe is meant for you. You'll need to be able to venture out on your own and be more than okay with that. For some of you, this may be an easy task, because your ex was in some way holding you back and preventing you from moving forward. You could never take the risk of evolving into a more loving being because your partner was too scared to venture out for himself. So doubt played a major role in your low self-esteem and your relationship with God, and it kept you from moving forward in your career and/or family. Or maybe your partner was the one who showed you that venturing out held rewards, and now, without him, you must be your own cheerleader and encourage yourself to do what your old self may have deemed too time-consuming, not worth it, scary, or not for me.